Hey folks, Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalist, and in this video I'd like to address some of the topics we were talking about last night with Matt Bracking. Fortunately, we were able to upload the video. It wasn't recorded live, but because of the ban that it got a strike on YouTube a week without being able to upload content. I explained it already. Most likely, 99% sure, it was a combination of words that we were using that triggered the censorship software, which is a huge topic on its own, that YouTube has that, but some of those words combined would sound very much like one of the conspiracy theories that YouTube's community guidelines doesn't allow. I do not believe in that conspiracy theory, neither does Matt, and I'm pretty much certain that it was a matter of bad luck combination of words. And it's the first time that this has happened to me in like 9 or 10 years of doing YouTube videos, so I'm not going to be making more of a deal of this than I think that it is. Can that software be tweaked and adjusted so as to be even more restrictive and forbid people from having even the other conversations? Oh, absolutely it can, right? And can that happen? Sure it can, hopefully. But I insist on this. I've been doing this for almost 10 years. Those of you that have been following me since the start know exactly what I talk about here. And no, I'm not talking all day about starting building fires or carving bowls and spoons in the woods and bushcraft, which is all fantastic. But this is the kind of stuff that you're seeing now. And some of the comments that I got yesterday were from people that saying, thank you for doing this, because that's been allowing us to prepare for what's happening now. And for those of you guys that are new to the channel, remember there's my books available following the links below there in Amazon, which I recommend, because that's pretty much what you'll likely to be experiencing already or in the very much near future. It's not good. The situation is as bad as it gets. We were talking about this with Matt yesterday. I insist on this, how we've gone past that breaking point, because we all showed each other's cards at this point, especially the left showed its cards in terms of what they have planned. And what they have planned is for anything that is not far left Marxist ideology to be completely outlawed and excluded from society. You're no longer a political opponent, you're an enemy of the state. They've been saying this all day long. I was just watching on the media, CNN is bad, Fox is even worse, which surprised some people. I'm not surprised by much, to be honest, given all the crap that I've seen. I'm pretty much disenchanted with everything, and I don't believe it much anymore. So yeah, not surprised, but it's still something to behold when you see Fox stabbing you in the back with a giant axe. They're calling conservatives terrorists. They're calling conservatives domestic terrorists. And that's not just the folks that went into the Capitol. They're talking about anyone that showed up there is an enemy of society, it's trying to overthrow democracy, you're a white supremacist, you're the worst rioter, looter, most horrible person. But they said this word many times. They talked many times in different channels about domestic terrorism. That's the label they want to put you with. That's the one they want to hang you with. Literally, maybe figuratively, and maybe literally as well. According to what you see people talk, they threw the guy with the horns in jail, the guy that had his foot on Pelosi's desk as well. Now, going back to the context, guys, we spent an entire year seeing cities across the United States burn. Just like that. Cities burned block after block. They looted, they killed police officers, they killed innocent people. How many police officers were killed by Antifa and BLM? Lost count already. Have they made a big deal about any of those? No, they barely even mentioned, or not even that. They would not even mention when BLM or Antifa killed a police officer, and they did many times throughout the year. Now, you saw what happened the 6th, and you saw 5 people died. One of the people that died was a woman that was pretty much murdered by Capitol Police. She was shot almost at point blank by someone that she hadn't even seen. right? And you could argue that she was not supposed to be there. Yeah, but you know what? This is not the same thing as when you see a cop shoot someone that's basically attacking them. They're coming after them with a gun, with a knife, or they're coming after their own gun. When a cop says stop and the guy does not stop and it continues to attack the police officer, punching, kicking, trying to get the gun out, and then you combine that with the police record of that person that is huge, and you just know that's a violent felon that's attacking a police officer trying to take away his gun. That is a very different story from what you saw happen there with this woman just being murdered like that. So it's not the same thing, and yet they would not even mention her. They just mentioned her as one of the people that died, trying to mix everything up and blame everything on conservatives, on the right. You're not allowed to be center or right anymore. You're always going to be far-right Nazi white supremacist, even if you're not even white. There was a black woman, for crying out loud, in Capitol. She was just walking down one of those halls with her MAGA hat. Quite obviously a black woman. She's a white supremacist as well. She's not even white. How could that possibly work? Doesn't matter. Facts don't matter anymore. It's just what you present through the media and what people consume in terms of information. Most people just don't have the time to go through all of this. They don't have the time to dig into every little video and realize how they're being tricked. They see a looped video of a guy breaking a window with a shield, and that's what they stick with. They see a guy breaking a window. Oh, yeah, and that video is repeated non-stop all day long, and that's what people stay with. They don't realize that there was over 100,000 or 200,000 people peacefully protesting for real there. They don't care about that. They just realize, they just remember that image that they looped and repeated time again. Imagine if they had done that every time that the left looted and destroyed and burned cities across the United States. If they had repeated, if they had looped the video of that woman being attacked and beaten almost to death by BLM when trying to defend her husband, that was himself trying to protect the store, his livelihood, and he was beaten senseless, and then they beat her up as well. Did they repeat that image? Did they do videos about who were these criminals, these thugs? Of course not, because those are peaceful protesters. It is you that is the violent criminal. It's you that has to be thrown into re-education camps, perhaps, in the not-so-distant future. That's the kind of thing these people have in mind. When they're labeling you like a domestic terrorist, what is it that you do with a domestic terrorist, right? And this is what's happening, guys. Unfortunately, this is what's going down. So it's not gonna be easy anytime soon. Let me go through some of the questions. Well, Julius Spartacus, get off YouTube so you can speak the truth. I'm already doing that to the best of my abilities, and I'm not planning on changing that, no matter what YouTube says or changes or whatever. Joe Geezer, patriots took a huge hit in the propaganda war. Well, yeah, and the thing is this, we were talking about this with Matt, when you have over 100,000 people or 200,000, you're likely to have some guy with a few loose nuts in the head. You will have some guy that's more of an extremist. Anytime you have 1,000 people, anytime you have 10 or 100,000 people, of course you will have maybe a handful of people that will do these kind of things, or that try to more incendiary ideas, or you may have infiltrators as well. Most likely there were. I don't have any confirmation of this, but it's a known fact that this is a very common strategy so as to discredit the opposition. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if you had numerous infiltrators trying to start trouble there as well. You were fed that image of a glass being broken. You were not being fed the image of the police officers that were basically waving them in, or barely pushing against the crowd that just kept on pushing, and once they got past them, they were okay. Have your way, you little sympathizer, because you have a lot of guys that were there, a lot of the police. I'd say 60, 70, 80%. Pick whatever percentage you feel comfortable with. Most likely, a large percentage of police officers are of that same mentality, are more conservative, and did not feel like pushing very hard against guys that they saw as of their own same tribe. So they just let them in, right? And that's how a lot of people, very much peacefully, even though they were not supposed to be in there, they peacefully got inside the building. And they were not all crawling through that broken window with the guy with the shield breaking, all right? So they just wanted to get in there, make their voice heard, or make a statement about we're not going to be going anywhere, we're not going to be taking this, we're disenchanted with the political system, and we want to make this all very obvious. Imagine what would have happened if BLM and Antifa have gotten in there with their record of how they torched building after building, how they declared their own nation, for crying out loud, within the United States, and no one bat an eye over that. It was a summer of love, right? Imagine that kind of insurgency is the kind of thing that sends tanks your way. When you take a few blocks of a country and declare it your own separate nation, that's the kind of thing that gets you shot around the world. Right, that didn't happen because the media is all obviously very much one-sided, and they're in favor of this. Now, when all of these people went in, what kind of destruction did you see? A couple of broken windows, a broken door, right? A desk, overturned, and some paper on the floor. The building was not torched. The art, you saw paintings, sculptures. How many sculptures has BLM and Antifa destroyed this past year? They tore down entire city blocks and parks, destroying everything, and yet that was labeled as peaceful protest. But now you are the terrorists because you're not on their side. This was all very much what they had in mind all along. As soon as they saw the slightest little bit of, oh, they're breaking the law, they have to be terrorists, they have to be, this is an attack on democracy. So it wasn't an attack on democracy when they took buildings and blocks and police districts. That was not an attack on democracy. Well, that is very interesting. Subscribe to your Rumble account. Never noticed me, and interference is horrible. Please upload to BitChute and Telegram. Look, I'm already in Rumble, and as you say, it just doesn't work all that well. That's why I like to keep this channel as well. That's why I want to keep, and that's exactly what I plan on doing, keeping YouTube and Rumble as a backup. But YouTube, for a lot of time, for many years, I've been able to use, and I plan on continue using it, guys. That's simply the way it is. Welcome back. Switch to more a secure platform, and we will follow. About that, there's so many people commenting about go out, open a Rumble account. I already opened it, and it says a lot that people asking for it haven't even noticed it. It just shows how unstable it is, or how much people ask you to do something and not actually check it out if it's already done. It's already done, guys. Go check on Rumble. You will see, and subscribe there as well. It was amazing. That was amazing. Thanks. Everyone share this. Even if you think your reach isn't big, it's essential. Yeah, please do share the videos if you feel it's help. It definitely does help, and I think it helps spread the message. The cop that was in charge of the Capitol Hill police has committed suicide. Strange. Yeah, I was just watching that. It is strange, isn't it? Was he the guy that was involved, the one that shot the woman, or I don't know. Maybe he had some responsibility, but it is curious at least to see that the guy committed suicide. It's ridiculous that a free country with a First Amendment right, you have to worry about anything you say. Well, yes, it is. It is quite interesting. I wish it wasn't that way, but it is. Unfortunately, it is. And it does say a lot about how much free speech you actually have, because the moment, the President of the United States is banned from Twitter. He cannot even address the country being the President of the United States. What's that leaving for the rest of us? Even if I disagree, you should be able to say anything, even if I don't agree. People can always change the channel. I'm so sick of men and women who are adults getting their feelings hurt. Well, yes, there's something to be said about, I have my own business, I have my own website, and I don't want you to use, for example, if I have my website and you are trolling people in my website and I don't want you there, I should have the right to say, get the hell out of here. Or if you're spamming my website with advertising and screwing things up for everyone, you have the control over that. Now, the thing with these big tech companies is that they want to have it both ways. They want to be recognized as an untouchable medium that is almost like a public service which enables free speech, and they have to be above the rules and regulations that apply to everyone else. While at the same time, when it comes to banning things that they don't like, that's the moment in which they feel like a little mom and pop shop where you are not allowed to say this because this is my little business and I just don't want you here. Okay, if you're that little tiny business that doesn't want to enable people that you don't like, then you're not recognized as a public service and as a media with all the benefits that you take advantage of. You cannot have it both ways, but these companies, they do have it both ways, and they get to get the benefits of being recognized as a media for free speech while not actually enabling free speech when they don't feel like doing so. So guys, that's basically it. These are complicated times. It's not easy, and it's not going to be getting easy anytime soon, folks. That's for sure. More of this will happen, and it will keep getting more difficult. It's a lot like what you see in some of third world countries where people are persecuted and they start losing their jobs, or they get their business ruined, and it's life difficult because you're not aligned with the party. And it's unfortunately now happening in the United States, and when you have these guys in power, it's very difficult to eventually get rid of them. We talked many times about how when you have a socialist dictator in power, historically we've learned that you don't vote those people out of power. They rarely ever leave on their own free will. They just like being there, and they just don't go anywhere. And they make sure. Look at what happened with Venezuela, with Maduro now absolutely runs everything. There's no freedom of any kind in a place like Venezuela. You are under a socialist dictatorship, and you reach that point this way, the way you're seeing right now. That's how all of a sudden you're made an enemy of society because you don't think like them. Guys, it's going to be all for now. See you in the next video. Have an awesome day.